Should you buy a home in a deed restricted HOA community or somewhere with no HOA at all? Because in Sarasota, you actually have a choice, and that choice is going to affect your lifestyle more than your price point. Yeah, let's break it down. I'm going to go through what it really means to live in an HOA community or a non-HOA community, a deed restricted community, non-deed restricted community. Let's go. All right, the first big truth is you always have rules. No matter where you live, no matter what municipality, Sarasota, Manatee, Venice, you're always going to have rules. Any county, you're going to have rules. So in Sarasota, even if you don't live in an HOA community, you're still governed by either the city of Sarasota or the county with their codes. So the difference, well, it's enforcement intensity. An HOA has private agreements. You make a private agreement and you're going to have standards. And the standards are going to be for your home and how everybody lives and how we agree to live by. And then in a non-HOA, non-deed restricted community, well, you're just living by the municipal code and it's a lot more relaxed. And unless your neighbor comes and rats you out for having junk in your yard, you can pretty much get away with anything. So what do HOA communities actually give you? Well, you're going to get a well-maintained appearance in your neighborhood. HOA neighborhoods typically, they have consistent landscaping. They've got consistent paint standards. There's committees that you have to bring if you want to change the paint on your home, you've got to bring it to a committee and make sure it meets the standards for their paint selections. You're gonna have roof standards. You're gonna have uniform roofs. Some have barrel tiles, some have metal roofs. It all depends on what the community sets up for the rules. And fencing rules. This is a good one because you can have uniform fencing instead of some ugly, rotten out dogwood fence. Some of that dogwood fence can look really nice in the beginning, but when it gets worn out, it doesn't look good. And next to that brand new wrought iron fence, it's not going to look good at all. So, what's the other big thing? No boats or RVs in the driveways in those HOA communities. You're not going to have that. No, not unless that community is built specifically for RVs. Yeah, or boats in the backyard, but which is possible here in Sarasota. Yeah. But in any case, no, you're not going to have a boat or an RV in the driveway typically. So what's the result? You've got predictability. You've got a newer master plan community that looks beautiful. No matter where you drive, it all looks great, but it also looks the same. Places like Lakewood Ranch and Wellen Park, they're master plan communities and they are almost entirely HOA controlled. It's part of the model. It's when you go out and get those new construction homes, you're going to find yourself in an HOA community. Yeah, the deed restrictions. Some are looser than others though. Some aren't so hard, some aren't so tight. So generally speaking, they add value and it tends to hold value because their standards are being maintained for your home. It's really good in a way. I mean, unless you want to do your own thing. But overall, the HOA, the rules and the regulations, they protect uniformity, which can really protect appeal. And when you go to resell your home, people know what they're getting and they know that things aren't going to change and they're going to get good value for their money. Your home's going to hold its value. All right. The freedom of no HOA. What's that going to get you? Well, if you want character and individuality and a little more freedom, Sarasota has that too. We've got eclectic neighborhoods. We've got old established neighborhoods with really cool 1920s architecture. We've got your mid-century modern homes. We've got the standard American ranch home. Yeah, we've got it all. In communities like Indian Beach and Sapphire Shores neighborhood off the North Trail, it's been really gentrifying over the last decade or so. It's really getting nice and the values are there. To be on the North Trail, west of the trail, you're getting some really good properties there. And then if you look towards a little bit further south of downtown in the Cherokee Park neighborhood and areas around there, Hillview, you're going to find some really beautiful neighborhoods, but they come at a cost. However, there's no deed restrictions in most of those neighborhoods. Actually, I don't think there's a deed restriction in all of them. There's some voluntary deed restrictions, voluntary HOA communities, but there's nobody there telling you that you have to sign a document and keep your property a specific way. So that's lovely. All right, areas like that with no deed restrictions, they typically have large trees. They've got older architecture, as I mentioned. There's no strict HOA oversight. Again, unless your neighbor's a rat and she or he starts calling you out. And then a nice thing about it, you've got a lot of old Florida charm in those neighborhoods. So you can do things, redesign things, and make them nice in a way that you just couldn't do in an HOA deed restricted community like Wellen Park or like Lakewood Ranch or Palmer Ranch, somewhere like that. So a lot different than the new construction communities. I mean, in the older communities, they're often higher end coastal neighborhoods without any HOAs. Pretty much all of them are. And then you contrast that with, in terms of non-deed restricted communities, you've also got places like Sarasota Springs, which is entry point. You might typically see more price accessibility, might be easier to get into, but also less uniformity. There might be more visible variety in upkeep. That's a nice way of saying, some neighbors are going to have junk in their yards. It's just the truth. So not everybody's going to take care of their yard because they don't have to. The only standard they have to meet is what code enforcement has, and there are some standards. So some buyers love the flexibility of that. I mean, they really like having the ability to do what they want in their yard and not to be bothered. They want that freedom. But others drive through and they immediately feel uneasy. They think, oh, this neighborhood's not so well kept. And they might not want to buy in your neighborhood if you're reselling your home. Whenever you're buying a home, you need to think about resale. I always tell my clients that. Keep that real. Keep that in your mind. Let's talk about new construction reality. In Sarasota and Manatee County, I honestly can't think of a new construction neighborhood that doesn't have an HOA. In those communities, the new construction, HOAs are part of amenity maintenance. They have gate systems. They're going to have common areas, and they're going to have stormwater systems that are going to be maintained by the community typically, or they're at least going to be maintained by by the CDDs and the stewardship programs that they have. So if someone says, I want brand new construction but no HOA, good luck. Yeah, it's not realistic, unfortunately. I know you all want to come down and buy a home and not have deed restrictions. In fact, that call came up the other day. I was talking to one of my agent friends, and she just had to totally turn the person down because they wanted to have somewhere that had no deed restrictions, but they wanted to have new construction. And around here, unless you're building a custom home on a custom lot in a non-deed restricted community, it's difficult to find a nice neighborhood that doesn't have HOA restrictions, deed restrictions. So there you go. All right. So what does it all really come down to? Do you want uniformity or personality? I mean, you're going to have a certain style of personality in the new construction, but you're going to get way more character in the existing older homes, in the non-deed restricted communities with no HOA. Do you want your neighbors regulated? Do you want to make sure that they're doing the right thing? Well, then you're going to get into an HOA community. And you're going to have to put up with some stuff that you may not like, because when they point the finger at you for having your truck in the front yard with the overnight, you're not going to like it. So, but maybe you will. Maybe you love that type of thing. All right. So do you want to have a boat or an RV? You're not going to move into an HOA community. You're going to either putting your boat into a boathouse, or you're going to put your RV on a lot separated. It's not going to be at your house. And your aunt or uncle or whoever's going to come visit you with their RV, they're not going to be able to stay at your park their vehicle overnight in front of your house, not in an HOA deed restricted community. You should think about what the family life is going to be like, who's going to visit you, and whether or not you want to have an RV or a boat. Yeah. So do you care if somebody paints their house bright purple, pink, blue, and it's not matching the HOA regulations? Well, if you like purple houses, you like eclectic houses, you like artistic houses, then you definitely want to get down into Sarasota, like into Indian Beach, Sapphire Shores, Rosemary District. Goodness, there's a bunch of them. There's some great neighborhoods with some really cool, eclectic, crazy looking houses. But you're not going to find that with new construction. So it's a good thing, get this or get that. All right. It's not about right or wrong, honestly. It's about alignment. It's where do you want to position yourself, right? So the biggest mistake buyers make is choosing on price. Yeah, instead of choosing on lifestyle. Sometimes we have to choose based on price, depending on where we are in life. But it's really a moment where you need to think about what you're going to buy and what you want to have and what your lifestyle is going to be. And maybe Sarasota is not for you, but maybe there's some places we can find that will work great for you. Yeah. So if you're relocating to Sarasota, I mean, this is one of the first conversations we're going to have with our buyers. We're going to sit down and have a consultation. We're going to go over all these things. What type of home do you want? Do you care if it's deed restricted, non-deed restricted? Do you care if the neighbor has purple houses, or do you want it all to look beautiful and green and uniform? Because, you know, we understand choosing a lifestyle is more important than price point. And then we're going to try to work around your lifestyle so you're happy, because you shouldn't move if you're not happy. Don't relocate to Sarasota if you don't want to be happy, because there's a lot of happy people here. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm John Butagards. My number is 941-960-8844. You can use the link below and get my relocation guide. It's got a link to that. That's free. And if you end up having a consult with us, we've got some really detailed guides for you, some great information. I've got some great people on my team. We've been helping people for so many years, and I know your situation is going to be different, and we just have to explore it and find out, figure out what's the right thing for you. I hope you'll watch the next video. I've got some really good relocation videos and some good stuff about construction. Anything you need, if you need my help, just give me a call. Again, 941-960-8844. John Butagards with World One Home Group. Bye.